Hello, 5th grade math students. This is Chapter 8.2, Comparing and Rounding Decimals. In this lesson, we're going to learn to compare and order decimals to 3 decimal places, and then to round decimals to the nearest hundredth. Let's begin by looking at place value charts to compare our decimals and order them. So let's start with these 3 numbers: 835 thousandths, 2 and 641 thousandths, and 329 thousandths. And now let's order them from the least to the greatest. First, we're going to compare our ones columns. We have a 0, a 2, and another 0. So obviously, this number, 2 and 641 thousandths, is going to be our greatest. So let's just go ahead and put that in at our end. That is going to be our largest number. Okay. So now let's figure out whether 835 thousandths or 329 thousandths is the largest. We can stop looking at this line because we've already eliminated 2 and 641 thousandths as our largest. So now let's compare our tenths. Which is greater, 8 or 3? Well, that'll be 8. So our next number will be 0.835 or 8 and 35 thousandths, which leaves 0.329 or 329 thousandths as our smallest number. Let's work through another example. Order 72 hundredths, 273 thousandths, and 7 tenths from the greatest to the least. We begin by comparing the ones. They're all the same. So now we'll move on to the tenths. Our largest quantity is 7. And because 72 hundredths and 7 tenths have the same quantity in the tenths digit, we need to go to the hundredths to compare. 72 hundredths has 2 in the hundredths column, and 7 tenths has 0 in the hundredths column. Therefore, our largest quantity is 72 hundredths, followed by 7 tenths, leaving our smallest quantity as 273 thousandths. Now let's have you try some problems on your own. Try these 6 problems on your own. For problems 1 and 2, state which number is the largest. For problems 3 and 4, order the decimals from the least to the greatest. And for problems 5 and 6, order from the greatest to the least. Press pause while you work, and I'll be back with another idea when you're finished. Now let's explore rounding decimals to the nearest hundredth. We're going to begin by rounding 14 thousandths to the nearest hundredth. We're starting with a number line that shows the space between 1 hundredth and 2 hundredths. It's divided into 10 equal parts, each of which is valued at a thousandth. So you can see here that we've placed a marker on 15 thousandths, and then placed a marker here for 14 thousandths. So 14 thousandth is 100th 4 thousandths. That 100th 4 thousandths is between 100th and 200ths. It is closer to 100th than it is to 200th. So 0.014 rounds to 0.01. So 14 thousandths rounds to 14 hundredths. We follow the same basic rounding rules. If the number is between 0 and 4, you round down. If the number is between 5 and 9, you round up. Now let's round 2 and 345 thousandths to the nearest hundredth. We've drawn a number line here that shows that 2 and 345 thousandths is between 2 and 34 hundredths and 2 and 35 hundredths. And in fact, it is exactly halfway between. So when a number is halfway between, we round up. So 2 and 345 thousandths rounds up to 2 and 35 hundredths. And let's finish up our examples by rounding 5 and 997 thousandths to the nearest hundredth. We have a number line here that shows that 5 and 997 thousandths is between 5 and 99 hundredths and 6. Because 5 and 997 thousandths is closer to 6, it will round up to the whole number 6. You will write 6.00 because our directions said to round to the nearest hundredth. So you need to show your answer, even though it's a whole number, out to the hundredths place. Here are your final practice problems for Chapter 8.2. For numbers 7, 8, and 9, round to the nearest hundredth. For numbers 10 and 11, round to the nearest whole number, tenth, and hundredth. Remember, when you're rounding to the nearest whole number, you only have to pay attention to the digit in the tenths place. When you're rounding to the nearest tenth, you only have to pay attention to the digit in the hundredths. And when you're rounding to the hundredths, you'll let the digit in the thousandths place guide your choice. Thanks for your hard work. I'll see you tomorrow when we'll practice more with rounding decimals. Thanks.